I want to look at the undisputed presidential race, right? We know that it was an overwhelming win for the NDC.
Massive.
In Parliament too, we see a very large difference between the incoming majority and the minority side.
Tsunami.
You could call it that.
This is a tsunami. I mean, this is so.
But what does it say to you about the mindset of the Ghanaian voter at this time?
For me, it's a sign of maturation, that our people are getting mature. But let me tell you that NDC did not win the elections. And actually, that is systematic in the past one also. In Ghana, always the government loses the election. Because I think that NDC the President Mahama got only about 200,000 votes above what he got in 2020, which means that even the biological increase of NDC members, he didn't get much. Partly not because of his fault, but people being disillusioned and say that we won't go and vote. So a little bit came from there. But much of the loss was that MPP members says enough is enough. And I think that it shows when people are in power, they become blind. That they couldn't sense how really even their own members were angry with what has happened into the economy and how people felt and the rest. Let me tell you, I won't mention the district because I was there just after the election, not my own district, which is Brekusu Aburi South, where I live now, but in an MPP stronghold, which they have held it for 24 years. The people who rejoiced most were not NDC. It was MPP people. They were so happy that their MP, who had been imposed upon them because all that you needed to do was to bribe the 500 or so people who nominate there, and would not care for, even when the MP's own campaign was being launched, he had taken them for granted. He didn't come for his own campaign launch. That is how arrogant they had reached and how much they had offended the people. And I think that it is good that at a certain point, the people are now saying that you cannot take us for granted. And I think President Mahama said it's not only a lesson for NPP, it's a lesson for NDC, for their future.
Indeed. And you see, that disillusionment is what makes me worry about the expectations the Ghanaian citizens will have right now. How realistic should it be?
First of all, I called Ghanaian manifestos and campaigns promissory notes. They promise so much and win, and they cannot. I was telling somebody that if I were Mahama, the first thing is that the first month I look at the things, and the truth is that there's no money. And much of the things he's saying, he cannot say that. Having looked at the things which I was looking from outside, A, B, and C, and D, I can do in 4 years. This I've found I cannot do. I think that one of the downfalls of Akufo-Addo is inability to manage expectations, because what he promised that he will do, in fact, you know that the past 2 years, we never had Ghana Beyond Aid. None of them talk about. He was talking about Ghana getting to a point, taking us to a point whereby we don't need aid. Now we are begging.
Begging for money.
Money. So expectation management is very, very important in running your home, running an organization, running a country. So the first thing that I will advise is to manage the expectations. The second thing that it has to do is that things should be done with the Ghanaian involvement. He has already, in one case, for example, he said he will call some forum to discuss free SHS. A semblance, even if you are sometimes not meaning it, there must be seen that you are engaging the people in all this. Some of them, I think that they must carefully consider their promises. For example, the taxes is going to waive, and here I'm talking as an economist. I would not have even promised that I will remove e-levy, because one of the very difficult things to do in a country like ours is getting people to comply with tax payment. You can make the rules and other things, but they won't pay. And in tax administration, if it costs more to collect money than what you are going to get, you better forget it. And as for e-levy, I would rather like to reduce some other taxes and keep this one, because as soon as you say, crack, it's gone.
And keep e-levy?
Yes. Why? Because unlike income, my friend standing there, unless you say, what's your income? Oh, I'm a poor person. He will go and do galamsey, not galamsey in the, we used to call it in Gimpa, things in the back, moonlighting and that things. And some of people earn more than their declared income. But how are you going to find them? So you must reduce taxes which are difficult to correct, and keep ones which are easier. So I will have done I will look at e-levy, cosmetically reduce more and other things, but it's easier to get. That is why any tax...
Because everybody uses it,
yes,
whether you're in the formal or informal sector.
And that is why anything linked to telecommunication, anything linked to electricity, as a means of correction, is very, very easy. So that is why the white man, when he was our overlord, he went for lampu. You call it land pool, this per head one, because he couldn't distinguish between me and my brother. So he said, no, if you have a head, you pay 1 cedi. Everybody has a head if you are more than 18. And I remember my mothers, when they are going to the town or market, they always have their lampo receipt in their aboso. Why? Because at any time, have you paid? And if you haven't paid, there and then you have to pay. So,
but Prof, what do you say to people who say that the e-levy has become a nuisance tax because it's too expensive? It's like you're paying multiple, taxes for the same money.
That's what I'm saying, that there should be a total tax review.
Okay.
There's too much. For example, I imported something and I look at it. I was actually so angry. I thought that it was a lie. I had to, even though a former GRHM, I had to go and say, is it true? About 21 taxes on a car import. I mean, that is ridiculous. So we need a total look at taxes. But in looking at it, look at ones which are easier to correct and which is more widespread, so that the tax base is very narrow. There are only about 1 million income taxpayers in Ghana, out of the 33 of which half are adults. So
shouldn't we be then expanding the net to get all those people in? A conversation we've been having for over a decade now.
That is why certain areas, that's why the e-levy, for example, if it can be reduced but kept there, because everybody then virtually is there, then you must go for property taxes. Why? Because the property tax, you cannot put your house in your pocket. It's only that we are not doing it. And you must cut funding for the local governments. In Accra, they should be able to collect sufficient. The houses are there. This house, where is your tax? And the value, you can even see the value of houses right from just by looking at it and the area it is. Why? Because go and ask for a plot in East Legon. Immediately, it's 1 million. Now, if you are sitting in a 1 million plot plus a building on it, at least you are 2 million. So, in tax area, you must be very, very careful. In a developing country, make it easier to correct. Don't have a multiple one, and then make sure that as many people are robed into it as possible.
So, but is that not then making the job of the GRA easier while burdening the small 1 million people who are already paying taxes with?
No, because at the end of the day, we call about the incidence of tax. So that's why you should look at all of them and see taken together,
In totality.
how much is it costing? Is it, I'm a 30% marginal tax rate. In other words, if you earn above a certain percent for every CD, so that is 30%. If you add my e-levy, if you add my VAT, you may come to the point that it is actually about 50%. And then you may want to bring it to 25. So the incidence of tax should be looked at. But don't go and say, I don't like it. That's what the Akufo-Addo's government said. He said, we are going to cancel all the nuisance taxes. And now there's what's another word for nuisance, or worst part of it, nuisancia taxes. So I think that they must be very careful. But at this moment, they have no choice but to remove e-taxes.
To do what they have said they will do.
But in recrafting it, they must find a way of reducing the multiplicity of the taxes, possibly reduce the incidence of taxes when you come to what it amounts to, but how you can broaden the base and then make it easy to correct.
Which means it's also not a good move to remove the tax on bets or sports betting.
Well,
that's also an easy one to target.
Yeah, that one, let me say my point of view from a different point of view. As a father, as a Christian leader, we call it sin tax. And sin taxes must be higher, not reduced.
I see. So the sin taxes should go up.
Everywhere in the world, cigarette taxes, alcoholic drink, betting taxes, these are not the ones. I will want them to be 50%.
I see.
Because I don't want my grandchildren, which is everyone who is under 30, are you one of them?
I could be.
To be betting. It is one of the disastrous habits that we should discourage. And sin taxes are things I am.
So we should even keep them higher.
Oh yeah, it should be higher.
Right. So it would appear that one of the top priority areas the incoming government should look at will be a tax review.
Yes, a comprehensive
tax review.